Influencer marketing gets a lot of hype, but very few people are actually measuring what works. My guest today is Chelsea Clark, the founder and CEO of Momfluence, a North American influencer marketing platform that she launched in 2019 to connect brands with powerful mom creators. Chelsea works across nano, micro, and macro influencers to drive real ROI through authentic UGC and social campaigns. I am so excited for this episode today. I think you guys are going to learn a lot. If you are a creator, maybe you're a mom creator, if you are a small business, if you're a brand that's looking to get your message out there and to start partnering with other creators, now is the time. Chelsea breaks it down and shares exactly what it's like to actually work in influencer marketing. From the inside scoop about the behind the scenes to best tips for small business owners, this episode is super insightful and I'm really excited to share it with you all. So Chelsea, welcome to Branding with Bex. For the listeners who are new to your work, can you share more about what Momfluence is and the problem that you originally set out to solve?
Yeah, Momfluence is a influencer marketing agency with the niche that we only work with mom creators, which might be obvious from our name. So brands come to us with a variety of products or services, and they really need moms to help spread the word and get new customers. I actually started Momfluence when I was helping smaller brands get into retailers, like I was their distributor. And I knew they needed to work with mom influencers, and most of the available agencies or softwares were either really expensive, which was prohibitive to like a small company, or they had a whole bunch of demographics, which wasn't really moms. So this is just very focused. I mean, there's lots of categories that moms are the only buyer or primary buyer, so it works for a lot of businesses.
So is your background primarily in scaling businesses, or was it from the influencer space? Like which side were you
Yes.
coming from?
I previously owned a restaurant franchise, and so we scaled that. So my background had nothing to do with influencers. I had to download an Instagram account when I was doing this because I was like, I should probably know what's going on. But I mean, I knew the power of them, and influencers weren't really a thing as I was getting out of my last business. They were just starting to become, and it was mostly gifting and. I mean, it has evolved like massively since then. But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing. I still feel like that, which I think is normal for women, especially. But I'm still like, who am I to talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, feel like with social media, it's evolved so much, and influencer marketing has evolved so much that staying on top of the algorithms and the updates, it can be a challenge. There is definitely a need for these agencies to be able to connect the creators to the brands because there's already so much going on behind the scenes that I don't think people are aware of.
Yeah, it's a big
Yeah.
big task for like both sides, right? And
Right.
over the years I've tried to dabble in other things like Pinterest or paid ads, and then I realized no, the influencer space is enough of a learning curve and constantly changing that you can really just focus on this and still feel like you're never staying on top of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with, each platform is a lot to learn as well. So like you mentioned Pinterest. I mean, I know there's so much opportunity there, especially for bloggers. We already have so many platforms going on, and it's hard to kind of juggle it all. So you've grown Momfluence into a network of nearly 9,000 mom creators across North America. Can you give us a little bit more information about what the early startup days really taught you about building a business? And do any of those lessons still guide you today?
Yeah, I mean, like anybody, or maybe not like anybody, because I came from a previous career where I was an entrepreneur. And in that life, we had franchisees. So we were the franchisor, and we partnered with people that were going to run and take our brand to new locations. And that was very difficult. It was a big learning curve to understand that partnering with people is really hard, really hard. Out of 10 people, maybe one is like great and they do what you hope they will do. So I knew when I started this, I didn't want any venture capital money. I wanted to, bootstrap it like many people try to do. So I was very scrappy. A lot of the initial work I did myself, or I would hire people on Upwork that were very affordable for these very menial tasks that I was doing. I tried to get things that were shareable. I really tried to think of things from the point of view of how do I get creators to become my marketers? Like how can I give them something that they will share with their friends, their other creator friends?
Great.
So I think trying to, A, doing a lot of things myself, B, finding cheaper labor that was good at these big tasks that would take me hours and hours, and trying to create something of value that was shareable.
Yeah, that's a great point. I speak with a lot of entrepreneurs on this show, and something that comes up is finding out that balance between being really excited to tackle all the tasks that come with owning a business and then also knowing when to outsource what tasks and being able to be hands off in that aspect. And I think that that's a great lesson. I feel like that's something that's, constantly evolving. It's really hard to hand off tasks sometimes, but if you find the right help, it's very important.
Yeah, I still really struggle with it. I can micromanage to death, but only on things that I really, really care about. I think I'm good at understanding now that some things it's okay that they're done 80% of what you would do. Like there's going to be mistakes, but those mistakes are worth happening for me not to do them.
Yeah, that's a great point. When it comes to working with brands and you want to create that authentic creator brand matchmaking, what would you say does true alignment look like in practice over doing maybe one-off influencer campaigns? Do you see any brands really getting this wrong?
In terms of do most brands still do one-off influencer stuff, and yeah, tons and tons and tons. And I've tried to guide them by our service offering, which says there's a one-time or there's a 3-month, right? Like the dream thing as a start is a 3-month, not test, but it's like commit to creators for 3 months, see what they can do with multiple touch points.
Right.
Unless you are IKEA or Spanx or Victoria's Secret, you're not going to sell something the first time. Or like a really cheap Amazon bathing suit, right? Fast fashion, maybe super well-known brands, maybe. But yeah, it takes multiple touch points, and most brands still don't understand this. They get so upset when one post didn't sell. Like this idea that influencers are magicians is still very prevalent.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point. As we've seen influencer marketing evolve over time, the consumer and then also the brands themselves, I think, need to kind of understand that. So from a consumer perspective, it seems like they're becoming a lot more aware of content now. At the beginning, I feel like ads were kind of a little bit more seamlessly placed throughout social media, and people couldn't really tell if it was an ad or not. But as influencer marketing has evolved, I think audiences have really caught on to that, so they can tell if an influencer is just posting to promote something once and they're not really attached to the brand or not. They've definitely gotten smarter in that aspect. I think there's definitely some brands that need to kind of catch up with that and understand that, it's all about creating that relationship with your audience and ensuring that your audience feels like they can trust you, and maybe a one-off post doesn't really give the most trustworthy vibe depending on what they're promoting. You talk a lot about making a brand's values visible in the hands and the homes of families. Can you share an example of a campaign or a partnership that really embodied this and why it worked?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something that comes to mind is a company we work with that has taken, I'm not sure actually what the products are originally, but they basically recycle old kids' toys, I think, and furniture into new items. So the thing we worked with was a high chair. So it was all out of recycled materials. The company's called Everloop. And they also will take back that as your kid grows out of it, right? Because think of all the waste that's consumed by every stage. It's like if you're not having more kids, you get rid of the thing, so they'll buy it back. And I think that for a lot of creators, they do have values in how they purchase for their family, and often there's not the products that they can share about. And so that one was a really, went over very well with our audience who are sustainability minded, and like any parent these days wants something that has like an end life cycle and is made from something that they can feel good about to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me too of the conversation like we just had about the fast fashion and promoting. I feel like a lot of people are being really conscious of what they're purchasing, what they're consuming, things that they're ordering online, maybe not making those quick purchases as often and feeling like there's a little bit more of a purpose behind what they're buying. And like you mentioned, the sustainability piece I think is really huge right now. So that's a great example of how that worked. So for founders and marketers who are working with maybe limited budgets, what are your best strategies for ensuring that creator partnerships are both cost effective and that their ad dollar is truly counting?
Yeah, and you know what? I work with businesses that are a startup and it's one woman led, super common, to like Bombas and Bog Bag, like well-known brands. Really, no brand has budget, like a huge budget, right? Like every brand wants to be, reserved on their budgets. And so over the past few years, really the change in strategy, I would say, is getting great content and running ads with it. That is by far the cheapest way to get in front of, it depends what your service is and product, but for the majority of businesses, getting content created ads and running ads is a far more cost-effective way. In addition to that, if you have a product that is sexy enough that people will want to receive it as gifted, building like a very strong gifted community, and it works particularly well if you have something that comes out new every season, or at least something that grows with the family, and you can kind of continue to use those same creators as they evolve or as your brand evolves. Like a wide-reaching gifting strategy doesn't need to cost a lot of money, especially if your product isn't outrageously expensive. So anything in gear, skincare, wellness, those kind of categories do really well in that sense. And then you're not paying creator flat fees, which actually I'm on a mailing list for a competitor of ours in some sense. He does a bit of a different thing, but he has run an ad in Soho in Manhattan that says something about, your creator flat fee just paid for a flight to Bali. And the email was about how he offered a creator 8K, she countered with 8K. Like the cost of influencers has just gone crazy.
Yeah.
Paying for traditional social posting, I think, is a bubble, just like when you're the .com bubble. It's got to break because it's just so expensive.
Right. That's very insightful. And this is just another quick question to follow up on that. Would you say that for a brand that maybe has a small budget, do you think the focus should be more so on having an influencer that has a large audience? Like, would the goal be to get the message out to their large audience, or do you think the goal should be more so focused on the actual content creation itself for them to then take it and run it as an ad?
Yeah, I have never ever preferred to use one big creator. I think that those big creators, they tend to have a ton of ads. Does their audience really trust them? Not really. I mean, everyone, being an influencer is a known job now. Maybe in the beginning it wasn't so known. Everyone knows that they're getting paid and no one trusts it, really, at the end of the day. That's why fast fashion works for really big influencers. You don't care what they say about it, you're buying it based on the look of it, right? If it's an aspirational thing. So no, absolutely. If it was my company, I would definitely get really authentic content made and run ads.
That's great advice. And then for someone listening who's maybe building their own personal brand or running their first influencer marketing campaign, are there any mindset shifts or practical steps that they can take this week to see some more meaningful results?
Yeah, there definitely is one that, again, a lot of brands still get wrong, is you need to give creators creative freedom. In the creator's mind, they are creatives. And in the brand's mind, they're a salesperson, right? And those two things are very different. You like the creator. If I'm a brand, I want to hire a creator because I love their content, I love what they do. Well, then extend that trust and let them have their own spin on what your product is, right? The number of briefs that go out that are like, please include these 5 key features and make sure you include EWG certified. I'm not going to talk to my friend and say, I love these diapers, they're EWG certified.
Right.
So if you want authentic content, don't tell them what to say. Let them talk normally.
Great. Yeah, that's great advice. As someone who's worked from both like the brand and influencer side, I think when you provide more structure and parameters around the content that they're going to create, and then you can't expect the content that you get back to be as authentic and personable as you had hoped if there's a whole list of bullet points of things that they're supposed to touch upon. And then it doesn't resonate with the audience as well either. I mean, the audience can tell from a mile away if you're actually authentic about something or if you're just promoting it to promote it. So that's a great tip. Thank you so much for joining me on my episode. I really appreciate it. And I'm so excited to get this message out there. I think a lot of influencers and small brands will be really, really excited to hear this one. And I appreciate your insights.
And anyone can reach out to me. I love my favorite part of my job is that I get to talk to brands every week and hear their challenges. Every brand has a unique challenge with influencer marketing or content creation. I love talking about it. So anyone can reach out to me via email or LinkedIn and just give me their problem.
That sounds great. Thank you, Chelsea.
Yeah.